This is just a quick video on the Ellipse revision sheet that we did. So just if you didn't get any of it done, if you're still confused on any of it, you can follow me here, okay? So I'm going to fly through this nice and quick. Again, it's a video, you can stop it, you can pause it, you can slow it down, okay? So again, first thing we're going to do is come up to the middle of the page, and we're just going to draw a line straight across. We're going to measure in 14, and then we're going to measure in 14 again. And we're just going to draw two straight lines down the middle of the page, dividing our page into 6. Just like that. And just like that, lovely. So for all these questions, the exact same as we did them in class, our, now that looks in the visualizer like it's not half the page, but that's a little bit off. We got it too. Our major axis is going to be 5 and our minor axis is going to be 3. Okay, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit with this visualizer, as I don't believe the zoom feature works in it. This is a different visualizer rather than the one I use in class, so I'm going to have to manually zoom it in and out when we're doing questions. Okay, so just bear with me a little bit on that one. So I'm going to bring a line straight across the page up here, bring a line straight up, splitting that line in the middle. And then we are going to draw in an ellipse up here. So we'll draw our major axis in. This is very high up the page now, but that's okay too. And my compass has decided to not draw that straight. No matter. It's okay. What's nice is on this visualizer, although it can't zoom that well, you can it picks up the drawing a lot better. Lighter lines. So look, that's at a bit of a strange angle, but hopefully that is still very visible. Try our best to, as I said, I kind of have to manually zoom it in. So there is our major axis, which is our big circle. Our minor axis then is 30 millimeters, so we'll set to 30, just like that. And then we'll swing our minor axis circle. So we've got our major and our minor axis swung. We'll then take our 30 degree, 60 degree set square, and we will draw all the way straight through the center. Flip it over and do the same thing, nice and light. So after that's done, then we're going to mark in our major and our minor axis and our extreme points on each. So our major axis, the edges of our ellipse are going to start from the edges of the major axis. So there's the edges of our major axis. We'll write major axis on it. Same for our minor axis then. Our minor axis goes from the top to the bottom, just there like that. And we will connect that up like that. Major axis, always I'm going to do it in blue. Minor axis, always I'll do, or sorry, other way around. Minor axis I'll always do in blue. Major axis I'll always do in red, okay? So we've got our extreme points marked. Again, I always recommend you do this before drawing the ellipse. We know that it's going to start from our major point all the way up to the minor point and so on, okay? So now these lines that we brought out, we're going to just write in what degrees they're at. So our steeper line here, we're at 60 degrees, and our shallower line then, we're at 30 degrees. Shallower is actually not correct, less sloped I should have said. Anyway, so the point in these lines coming out then is where they hit our major axis. We're going to bring them straight up and straight down. So you can see here, now my hand is covering it, but you'll see at the end, so up and down. So I'm covering 2 points at the one time. Look, you can see there I cover 2 points, so where this 30 degree line hits my major axis, bringing them down and bringing it up. Same here, so where it hits my major axis, this 60 degree line, bringing it straight up, and then I'll bring this one straight down. So we're covering 2 points at once, always the same over here, where this one comes up, this one comes down. And it's just a really quick way of drawing the ellipse in an exam that'll save you a bit of time. So we're getting 2 points covered at the same time. It's the same, then we can slide up our t-square here, and we'll cover 2 points at the same time here as well. So look, I marked across in 2 areas. Same again, mark across, mark across. Up to the next one, same again, mark across, mark across. It also ensures that our points are symmetrical and that they're at the same height and the same distance on both sides. So we'll heavy in each of our points on the ellipse then. And all that's left to do then is heavy in the ellipse. Now, forgive me, I'm trying to go through this quick enough because I'm conscious of another video I have to record for you. So forgive me for my ellipse not being very neat. Lovely. Not too bad. This side there a little bit poor, but obviously take your time in an exam, draw it correctly. So that is our horizontal ellipse. Okay, so our horizontal ellipse. So now we're going to pop down to the square below. And we're going to draw our vertical ellipse. So same thing again. We're going to draw a line roughly through the middle of the page. Let me see if I can get my good pencil, actually, because I'm using a crappy one. Here it is. Lovely. So a line straight through the middle of the page. A line roughly through the middle of that one. Major axis 5, minor axis 3. So here's my minor axis at 3 or 30. Take my major axis from the previous question, which is 5. Something like that. There's our major and our minor axis, which is lovely. Do my lines then through my ellipse. There's my 30 degree. Here's my 60 degree. Flip it over. There's my 30 degree. And there is my 60 degree. Lovely. So next thing I'm going to do then is mark in my minor and my major axis. So I'll mark in my extreme points there on my minor axis. There they are. Connect those 2 points up. And then we label that as the minor axis. Same then on the way across here, we label our, oh, sorry, I'm after making a blunder actually there. Apologies about that, lads. So we're back. I just marked my major axis in the wrong place. And see, there's me going too fast and a lack of attention to detail for me. So our major and our minors are just going to be reversed. So here is my major. And again, I'll label that major axis. And here is my minor then going across the way. And we'll label that as minor axis. Lovely. So same thing again with the points now where they hit our major and minor axis. The only difference is where we're going to be projecting them from. So instead of the way we were the last time, they're just the opposite. They're coming up and down from the opposite spots. So they're coming up and down now from my minor axis instead of across. So in the last question, we would have brought them across from the minor axis. Now they're coming up and down from the minor axis. And still sometimes to this day, I'll still do it the wrong way or I'll get confused. So it's such an easy thing to make a mistake on. So again, see the way I'm covering 2 points here all the time? So across the way and across the way. Just a really good quick way of doing it in an exam and ensuring that you are making the best use of your time. And a minute saved here could be a minute that you need on something else. Do you know what I mean? That is always the way I would look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, this should be coming across from my major, but it's in the same place anyway. Lovely. And now we'll draw in that ellipse best we can. Lovely, so there is our vertical ellipse. So now we've got our horizontal and our vertical ellipse drawn in. Okay, so the next thing we're going to move on to then, we're going to move on to this top square up here in the middle. And we are going to draw our focal points. So again, I'm going to do a horizontal ellipse up here for it, just because I prefer the horizontal ellipse. So again, nice and quick, we're doing the exact same thing. Swing our major and our minor. Which is lovely. And then we're going to divide this up again with our 30/60. So again, this should hopefully be welded into our brains by now. We know exactly, we could draw an ellipse in our sleep. That is the plan. So again, we'll do the same thing. Should have done it in the last question as well. Labeled 60 degrees and 30 degrees here. Do that with every question answer, just so we know exactly what our lines are. Heavy in our major axis. I went a little bit too far over there, but that's okay. And our minor axis. Now I'm not going to do the points in colour this time. So I'm just going to do them just in pencil. That page is really getting annoying. I might have to peel the page in the bottom left out of the way, but you guys get what I am. Yeah, apologies again about that. Now I was trying to rush through it and I made a mistake. So we'll heavy in our ellipse again. Forgive me for the quality of my ellipse now here. It's probably going to be... I can't really move around that well in my chair at the desk. Usually I'd nearly get up and be moving around. Again, you can do that in your exam. You're allowed to move around your desk. Obviously you can't, don't just shoot up out of your desk. Get up nice and slowly as you're drawing your ellipse. Yeah, there shouldn't be any issue with that. So, to get our focal points, and we're going to write it again down below. Half major, swung from minor, equals FP. FP stands for focal points. Now, we're also going to say half major, swung from FP, which again is focal points, equals minor. Okay. So I'm going to set my compass down here, take half my major axis, pop it up on the minor, swing it off, and swing it off. And that is equal to my focal points. Mark them in, FP1 and FP2. Lovely. Connect both of them up to my minor axis, just so that we can see that that's where they came from. And just on them we're going to label half major. Half major, so that we know that that's where that distance came from. So when we say half the major swung from the minor axis, again we mean taking half the major, bang, up on the minor axis, swing it off. When we say half major swung from focal point, we take half the major, we pop it on the focal point, and as you can see when I have my center line, if I didn't have my minor axis, that would give me my minor axis. Super. Now we're going to start with one of our tangents. So I might just peel this sheet up out of the way because it's kind of getting in the way, but you understand that that is our vertical ellipse there. Ignore what's going on down here now afterwards. Okay. You've seen our vertical ellipse, you know what we're doing. I just should have been my minor axis should have been from there to there instead of there to there. And I didn't pen, so I couldn't change it. Anywho, so this is going to be our internal tangent. You know what? I might actually do my external tangent down here because, you know what, I won't. I'll stick to how I did in class, but I have more room down here, so it would make more sense to do my external down here, but I won't because it's just not how I did in class. So again, major axis is 5, minor axis is 3. Oh, you shilly. There we go. Divide it up with our 30/60. Lovely. Again, we'll mark our extreme point. So I'll do a horizontal ellipse again. Again, you can heavy in your major and your minor, but I shouldn't really be a need to now. Same with labeling the or getting the points on the ellipse. We've done 3 of them now, so we should, and we did this in class already as well. So we've done this exact sheet in class. Again, reference is the Bible for the ellipse, because this is just an unbelievable sheet. Again, covering 2 points at the one time. Lovely. Just rub that out a little bit there because that is annoying me. Lovely, and we'll draw in our ellipse, marking our points. And draw in our ellipse. So there we go, our ellipse connects up there. And now connects up the top as well. Bring it around. Lovely. So for our internal tangent, it's a point on the ellipse. So here we go, there's point P, right there, point on the ellipse. So first thing I'm going to do is find my 2 focal points. And as we saw from our last question, we can still see it, half major swung from minor. There's half my major, pop it up on the minor, swing it off. And again, slow down the video, lads, if you need to. Swing it off and swing it off. There is FP1. You know what, I'll do that in a little bit of green. FP1 and FP2. Okay, what we're going to do then is connect both the focal points to point P on the ellipse, just like that. And just like that. We'll bisect that angle. So again, slow down the bisection if you need. Set compass to random length. Swing it off between both points. Pop it down where it hits one of them. Swing it off. So look, where it hits the side there is one point. Where it hits this side is the other point. Swing off, swing off. And I'll heavy that in blue pen. So here's our curve for our bisector. There's our points on either side. Swing it off and swing it off. There's the point in the middle. Bring that all the way through point P. And then draw it 90 degrees to that line. So to draw it 90 degrees to that line, we take the 90-degree angle on either of our set squares. I'm using my 45. We line up one side of it parallel with the blue line. As you can see, it's parallel there. Slide it down just like that. And there you go. We're 90 degrees to it. And in red, then I'm going to draw in my tangent. And then we can just kind of heavy it on through like that. And we'll label that as internal tangent. Super. Pop over down here, we'll do our external tangent. So I'm going to try not to run out of room here for my external tangent, but again, my external tangent is probably going to go off the sheet up here. But that is okay. So I think what I might do is I might start quite high up. And I will kind of try to, so that can't go up much higher than that, the major there. So we'll go up to about there. And I'll try to mark it close below just to try and keep it on the page. There is that. We'll get our major and our minor. My major might go slightly off the page here, but it doesn't actually matter because we don't need it up at the very top. We only need its width. There's my major. Here's my minor. Divide it up with my 30/60. And then just go about drawing the ellipse the same way as we always have. So again, look at the way I'm covering 2 points at the one time. I'm going to keep on saying it because it's such a useful method of drawing the ellipse. Now I'm actually running out of T-square here. Nearly there now. So again, I'm not marking in my major or my minor. I'm sure we're all well aware where they are by now. Lovely. So again, forgive the quality of my ellipse, but I don't have the time or the space to be doing it tightly here. So I'm going to do point P quite close to the ellipse in the hope that it will stay close. So again, it doesn't matter where your point P is. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to find our focal point. So again, we're going to take half the major, put it on the minor, swing it off, and swing it off. There's FP1. There's FP2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our compass, and from the point P, we're going to swing a circle or an arc through the nearest focal point. So this actually looks like it will get very close to fitting. Sorry, my compass needs to be tightened up a little bit. It's a little, it's very wobbly actually there at the minute. Very untidy. Jeepers, that's brutal. Brutal. It's an old compass, but I do like it, but it definitely needs to be tightened a little bit. Right, so there's that arc. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set our compass to the diameter of the major axis. So again, this is the only time probably, or one of the only times we'll use the diameter. Pop it on the further away focal point and swing an arc where it crosses the other circle that we just swung. So I'm going to do a little line connecting point P and that focal point to let us know that that is how we get the radius of the outer arc. And even look, we can do a little bit of green there if you want. Then in blue, I'm going to do these two lines here, these two arcs that cross over. Just like that. And then we're going to connect them in blue back to our focal point 2. And back to our focal point 2 again. And on them we're going to write diameter, so I'll do a little arrow. Diameter of major. Same here, little arrow. Diameter of major. Just to let us know that that is the length of that line. Okay? So where they cross over the ellipse then? The 2 points where we can draw a tangent from P. Just like that. Okay? Nice and straightforward, nice and simple. And we label that as our external tangent. Okay, we pop down here then, and the last thing we need to do is the ellipse from a point on the ellipse. So we'll bring a line straight across again, and we'll half it. Only thing that's different about this question now is we don't need our major or our minor axis. We're going to come back to this question over here, and we're going to take the distance of our focal points like that from the center. Okay, see that? Just like that. Pop it on the center here, mark off and mark off. Just like that. So we've got focal point 1, so FP1 and FP2. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure here, and now you don't need to do this, so I'll just measure in 3, and then should be up 3 as well. It is just a little bit less than. So what I want you to do then is exactly as I'm doing now, so measure out 3 centimeters or 30 millimeters, okay, and then measure up just under 3. Okay, so just under 3 like this, so about 2.9. Just there like that, okay? So do exactly as I did. So out 30. Don't draw this arrow here, this is just so you can see. And up about 2.9. This will make a little messy drawing, but... Okay, and that up there then gives us point P. So what we have here is we have a point on the ellipse, and we've got 2 focal points. So what we're going to do is we're going to join this focal point, the further away focal point, all the way through point P. Apologies there for a little bit of a scribble. Just like that. Going to take our compass, put it on point P, and put it down to FP2 down here. Swing that all the way up like that. So look, just like that. Swing it all the way up. And again, anything I do in colour is always related. So now we've got that pink point up there. So what we've done there now is we've got our diameter of our major axis. So we're going to bisect that line. So again, just take my compass, set it to over half the length of the blue line. So the line between the pink point and the line between our focal point down here. So the green point here and the pink point here. Put our compass on the green point, set it to over half the length of the line. swing an arc, we're just bisecting. Do not change length of the compass. Up here to the pink, swing again. Okay, where they cross over, we'll connect those points up. And now what that gives us there, and we're not going to do any more workings on this because we want this to be purely on how to get the radius of the major. So from this center point here,
pardon interruption, just a reminder, student council meeting at 1:15 opposite the library, and please bring your lunch. So that's student council meeting at 1:15 opposite the library.
this gives us the radius of our major axis. So I write or of major. Okay, or of major. So if in a question then we have to draw our ellipse, this is a classic junior cert short question. We've got the radius of our major axis, so we would measure that with our compass. So from this point to there, there's the radius of our major axis. We will put it down here. Now I don't want you to do this, okay? All I want from you is the workings here, but this will be in the video. I'll actually do it down below where there's less, and you can actually do it down below here if you want yourself, okay? So I'm just going to swing half my major axis circle. Okay, so we've got our major axis and our two focal points. So then if we come back to this question over here, half major swung from FP equals minor. So we've got half the major, we've got our focal points. So now with this set to half the major, which it is, we'll pop it on our focal point and we'll swing it off, and then that will give us the point for our minor circle. And we can pop it up there and swing off our minor circle then like that, okay? And obviously then we just need to divide it up. So that is how you would do that. So I hope that's helpful lads. I don't know, do I have... no, I think I've binned the other ones. But yeah, look, hope that's helpful anyway. That'll be there for as long as you need it. Again, here is the vertical ellipse. So your sheet should just look like this. We've got our ellipse from the point in ellipse. Write that down as well. Ellipse from point on ellipse. There's a point. You're not giving your major or your minor. You're only giving your focal points and a point on your ellipse, okay? Tangent then, lovely. External tangent, internal tangent, focal points, and our horizontal and our vertical ellipse. That covers everything with the ellipse. If you can do all that and apply it to a question, you will be fine, okay? So good work, lads. Keep it up.